Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the retreat we had on Memorial Day weekend with Venerable Kacho, who is a Buddhist nun for many years and is a hospice chaplain in California. And she came and we all talked about death and dying. And the retreat name was Precious Life Facing Death. And she began the retreat with having us watch an hour-long episode from Public Broadcasting Service, PBS, the episode from Frontline, which is one of their programs that they have. And you can watch it on the pbs.org website if you want. It was quite helpful, I think. It was a very hard program to watch. It chronicled the lives of, I think, 5 patients who were quite critically ill, ended up in ICU, and it examined the decisions faced by the patients and their family when people are critically ill and haven't thought about end-of-life treatment. And that's so important in this day and age because with the technology we have now, people can be kept alive on respirators and machines for years, years and years and years. And so in the film, there was a few statistics I thought were quite interesting. Nearly half of all Americans die in a hospital. And only 20 to 30% of Americans report having an advance directive, or another name for it is living will. And so this is a document that people write out that describes what their wishes are when they can't communicate anymore, or if they're very ill, what kind of treatment they would like. And although that's a hard process to do, at the Abbey here a few years ago we all sat down and created those. And it was very helpful, even though we met with a lot of resistance, at least I did at first. But it was very helpful to really ask yourself, if you can't communicate anymore, if you had, for example, a severe brain injury, would you want to be kept alive on a respirator for a very long time? And of course, we don't know, what outcomes are going to be often, but still, to think about how you want to be treated if those kinds of things happen, instead of putting that on your family, to have them make the decision. And I think in this Frontline episode, that was what was so really heartbreaking to see, how family members were in the position then to decide what to do, which is so difficult. So I think that's something to think about. And again, if this is kind of a new subject, to watch this episode, I think would really be very helpful. Because again, in this day and age, people can be kept alive literally for years and years. And so, we want to think about the quality of our life, how do we want to spend our last moments to the best of our ability, and at least to kind of, like the living wills or advanced directives that we wrote here, it was kind of, we kind of got in the ballpark of what we were, what for sure we didn't want, what we thought might be okay, and of course we can't know what the future will bring, but to kind of get in the ballpark. And then over time, you know, like now, I think it would be a really good thing to sit down again and look at that and revise it, because I've changed. And I think it would be a little different now. It might be a little more precise. I would be a little more open to looking at these hard subjects, because it's difficult at first to think about, I think. So it's a process. And, you know, if I had a terminal illness, I think then I would change it again. So this is something that's changed over time, depending on where we are in our life stage and what's going on with us. But at the very least, if something, you know, severe happened all of a sudden, at least there would be some guidance for those that would be around and making the decisions if I wasn't able to communicate, which I think is really a kindness to people. And also, there's some ease then, I think, in the mind. Or if, you know, an accident happened, I trust that this document would be followed, and I feel good about that. So, something to think about.